Well, as I'm sure all of you know from having marked your calendars, June is Gay Pride Awareness Month, and the NFL has managed to sneak their little message, their little skywriting into the month just at the last minute. Came out on the 28th or the 29th. They put together a little spot called "Football is Gay." Let's play it, shall we? Okay, we're going to break down what might be behind this whole thing. I'm not just talking about this particular ad, and I'm not just talking about the NFL. I'm talking about why so many people are buckling to this woke movement. I want to understand what the power of it is, what power could be so great that people are willing to destroy enormous franchises for it. The NFL, Star Wars, Star Trek, Gillette, all of it. I want to get to all of that. But before I do, I want to just read you some comments from the YouTube posting. I don't know if this is the official posting. It's the one I found. And I want to read some comments because to me, these comments are absolutely indicative of what I would expect and indicative of how much effect I think something like this actually has on the presumed target audience. So let's dig into a few, shall we? Jarok Kira Joke writes, "I knew the Raiders were gay, but I never suspected the entire NFL was gay." Clint Connor packs a bit of a punch here. He says it makes you want to forget the NFL's reputation for violence against women. Dan Williams hits the nail on the head here. "Guess what, Mom and Dad? I made the NFL." "Oh my God, son. Why didn't you come to us sooner?" This one's kind of sad from Dan Williams. "Excuse me while I head to the cemetery. Got to stop my grandpa from spinning in his grave. He's buried in a Cowboys jersey. I'm not kidding." And I'll close with the greatest comment of all time. Super Smith wins the internet by writing, "FIFA," that's the Soccer Association, "was inspired by this courage and has stated that soccer is, quote, really, really, really gay," unquote. Let me start by telling you why I wanted to read those comments, because they're exactly, as I said, what I expected. They're derisive, they're dismissive, they're shocked, they're angry, but none of them are mean. None of them are, they ought to take those faggots behind a truck and string them up against a tree. Nothing like that. There's no anger there. And since there's no anger there, nowhere. Since there's no anger there, what's the problem? Right? Is there a huge problem with NFL fans beating up gay people? No, there is no problem like that. What about the idea that a football player may be gay and comes out? Would that mean his career would be ruined? No, we saw that a few years ago. The guy was made into a superstar. He's the bravest NFL player of all time. Where's the harm? There's an old expression in sports, goes mostly to basketball these days, but the expression is no harm, no foul. So since there's no harm here, why are they throwing the yellow flag? Why the foul? If there's no harm, why the foul? Well, we're dealing with a political philosophy in progressivism that is predicated on harm. It's predicated on victimhood. And where there is no victimhood, victimhood has to be created. The purpose of this ad is, in my opinion, at least twofold, maybe threefold. But one of them is to say that, hey, look, guys, the NFL is no longer homophobic, implying, of course, that it used to be homophobic, and anybody who's not down with this message is homophobic, and all the rest of these kind of channeling things that they use to get you into those little pathways into the abattoir. So there's that. And I think a significant part of this is I think they're trying to defang the word gay in the same way that they defanged the word queer. Now, if you're an oppressed group, this is actually a really smart play. You use the word that's been used as a pejorative against you, and you keep using it in a positive light, and you finally just steal it. Gay used to mean just abundantly happy. That was a great word. That was a virtually indispensable word that no longer means what it used to mean. So now we kind of get to the point. And I wish I could tell you I had an answer for this. I don't. I just have questions. And the big question is, why is this happening? Now, there's no question at this point, after watching the damage done by taking a knee and the fall in attendance and the fall in viewership and all the rest. There's no question that by this point, however naive they might have been in the beginning, the people who make decisions like this know that this kind of thing hurts their business. It demeans their brand. It weakens their brand. It doesn't weaken their brand because football fans are homophobic. It weakens their brand because people go to football because they don't want to hear about this nonsense. So it is destructive to them economically, and they know this, but they do it anyway. There's the argument to be made that once you get to these higher levels in the skyscrapers, you don't really care about the money anymore in terms of that. And your main motivation in life in making decisions like this is the kind of high-level person would make decisions to run ads like this. You could make the argument that, well, they are moving in a circle where anybody who's not actively promoting the woke agenda is against the woke agenda. So maybe it's peer pressure, maybe it's social pressure, maybe it's that. Maybe it's just Chinese money, They've thrown trillions of dollars of propaganda at this country, trillions of dollars in terms of influencing the election, trillions of dollars to Facebook and the tech giants to get their message across, as if that's going to work. I do actually genuinely pity those Chinese leaders sometimes. They are so unspeakably dense. So maybe it's that. But the question I keep coming out of these kind of things is this. What power is there over the people that make these decisions? What forces them to do something that they know is so contrary to their business, so contrary to their brand? And not only that, but you would think that with something like football or something like that, you would think that the people in football, the people at higher level management of football, love football. I know a lot of you out there say I'm too naive, and you're probably right. Probably they just love the money. But then the argument gets even worse. What's the gun to the head of these people that are making them do this? Because it's not working, you see. If anything, it's making the situation worse. And now we land on home plate as far as I'm concerned, or perhaps a better metaphor would be now we're in the end zone with our hands up waiting to catch a ball with no coverage. This ad is not designed to increase acceptance of gay people. It's here to reduce it. It's here to make football fans more anti-gay. It's here to build resentment in people who never really had a homophobic bone in their body. They just didn't care. So why are they doing it? They know it's bad for them. And they know that the reaction, judging from this kind of thing, is, oh, we're getting lectured again. We're getting lectured again by the gay lobby or the black lobby or the whatever lobby. And by dividing the country up like this, they are making us more resentful, more angry, more intolerant of things that we used to be completely tolerant of. I think this is the ultimate purpose of an ad like this. It's not to reduce people's hostility towards gays, because there functionally isn't any. If there was, I assure you, we would be hearing about it in the same way that all of these nooses that we suddenly find around the country are, in fact, the kind of things you might use to lower your Venetian blinds in your house. So since there's no evidence of it, this is not even about making evidence. This is about telling people, slandering them by calling them something that they are not. And they do this, in my opinion, they do this specifically to make them angry at the particular so-called minority that's doing the pushing of these things. I ultimately think that this kind of thing is a very high-level, very, very sophisticated form of trolling. And I think what it's designed to do is to start to generate the kind of response that they're not getting. And that is, I think they're trying to stir up a hatred response, a violence response. I think they're basically counting on the fact that if they do this enough, that, seventh sigma person on the far end of the scale is going to get pushed far enough to do something violent, and then they'll have another reason to confiscate guns or restrict speech or suppress people or whatever the case may be. I think this is agitation, and I think it's very clever agitation. And the reason that I'm so sure I'm on the side of righteousness on this one is because they have to agitate and create, or try to create, an anti-gay backlash among straight football fans who don't have any particular feelings about gays one way or another. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to them. And if it doesn't matter, then there's nothing to be outraged about. And if there's nothing to be outraged about, then there's nothing to use to move people into your camp and take away their freedom and their money. I can't think of another explanation for it. If you can, I'd love to hear about it in the comment section below. I really would. And by the way, just as an experiment, if you could just hit the like button on this one, I'd like to see how much difference that actually makes. I don't usually ask for that, but in this particular case, I'd like to see. Anyway, here we are in a world where there is no genuine injustice of any systemic kind to speak of. And so the people who claim to be victims continue to manufacture evidence of their victimhood, and they have to manufacture the evidence because the real evidence just isn't there. So, what are they digging for?